Happy Saturday morning, all. Thank you for joining me today for our 30th episode of Saturday Morning Coffee. I'm Nolan, the lead writer of Dime Novel Adventures. Today, we'll be reading the February 2024 adventure Whip Cracks in the West. If you're ready, I've got my coffee, so let's dive in. Tales of the Titan Masks, Whip Cracks in the West, February 2024. Foul dealings in the West in this adventure for your favorite role-playing game. Whip Cracks in the West, a level 3 to 5 adventure, February 2024. In this adventure, the party will continue their investigation of crime around Fioria in search for information about the Titan Masks. Written by Flame Reptile. Edited by The One True AZ. Cartographer, the Silent Cartographer. Art, the Noisy Artographer. Disclaimer. Dime Novel Adventures does not condone the harassment of Ogre, Titan of Brutes, performed by Etten, Titan of Cyclopeans. It does, however, find it hilarious when Ogre's resulting tantrum lands it a trip to the timeout corner. Special thanks to Dawn of Dune, The One True AZ, Flame Reptile, Portal Ripper, The Silent Cartographer, Garlic Man, and The Angry Ginger. Nobles missing abroad. Days ago, a caravan transporting the renowned noble family from the nearby country of Weddington was scheduled to arrive at the port city of Fioria for a diplomatic visit with its council. However, the family, nor its caravan, have yet to arrive. The Council of Merchants has tasked the Guildmaster of Fioria to have the caravan and family of nobles found. Weddington. Weddington, an industrial human kingdom nestled in the northwestern expanse of the Shielded Peninsula, thrives upon its sandy coastal terrain. The capital, Weddington City, serves as the hub, overseeing 4 outlying villages, each contributing to the kingdom's fast-paced industry. Notably, one village envelops the enigmatic Weddington Gate, shrouded in mystery. Connected by a network of 4 roads, Weddington's primarily agrarian communities remain tightly interlinked. The kingdom's villages' dedication to farming and crop production is crucial, given the challenging soil conditions prevalent in the region. Weddington boasts a remarkably homogeneous population, predominantly composed of humans, making it one of the most culturally cohesive realms within the Shielded Peninsula. As the party wandered the streets of Fioria's Riverside District, they were approached by the Guildmaster of Fioria, who requested the party execute this investigation. The Guildmaster asked the party to travel the West Road to search for the missing caravan and noble family, offering a generous reward in return. They also mentioned that the nobles are foreign diplomats from Weddington, and that their deaths could result in civil strife between Weddington and Fioria. The Guildmaster offered the party 150 gold pieces should they return with any useful information regarding the caravan or noble family. However, should the party find the noble family and escort them to Fioria, the Guildmaster offered them each a reward of 750 gold pieces. After agreeing to the Guildmaster's request and offer, the party ventures forth to prepare for the Western Road. A continued adventure. If the party is played through the adventure Iron Mask in the East, the Guildmaster will provide the party with 2 charm seals, each expecting that another Shadow General may be involved. The West Road. After the party has made their preparations, they embark down the West Road. Read or paraphrase the following. You exit the stone walls of Fioria and begin to travel down the well-worn and trodden West Road. The often busy stone road boasts the occasional traveler on this individual day. Questioning the caravans. Any party member that wishes to question one or more of the carriages can attempt a charisma persuasion check to extract answers from the caravaneers. If a party member attempts to intimidate a caravaneer, they will be met with a short string of hateful expletives and told, "You scare me less than those monsters along the road," before the caravan hurries off. If a character attempts to ask a caravaneer if they've seen anything along the roads, read or paraphrase the following, followed by the result on the table below. Note, if the party questions multiple caravaneers and rolls the same result multiple times, give them information from a lower DC on the table that they have not rolled yet. This adventure features one fully covered map. Intersections of the West and Selvin roads. After the party has concluded their interrogation of the fellow caravaneers and traveled approximately 100 miles along the West Road, they will approach the intersection of the West and Selvin roads, where it appears a blockade has been constructed. Read or paraphrase the following. After traveling about 100 miles across the West Road, you encounter the wreckage of several carts that litter the intersection. These carriages appear as if they would make travel past them impossible via carriage. The party can clear the first blockade with about 15 minutes of moderate work if they wish to drive a carriage past it. As the party approaches the blockade, read or paraphrase the following. As you approach the blockade, the previously clear sky darkens as black clouds coalesce above. You hear rustling in the nearby trees as several large, black-clad humanoids emerge from the brush. Looking beyond their dark hoods, you can see each of them possesses only a single large eye. A number of Shadow Cyclopeans, equal to half of the number of party members, emerge from the Shadow Cyclopean spawn zone as shown on the map. The Shadow Cyclopeans will attempt to incapacitate each party member before dragging them back to Etton's camp. If a party member slays a Shadow Cyclopean, its form will liquefy and seep into the ground, leaving behind a shadowy pool. If the party is defeated by the Shadow Cyclopeans will transport the party to Etton's camp as their prisoners. The party will be stripped of any of their equipment that isn't hidden on their person. If the party was riding a carriage, all of the goods on the carriage will be stolen and taken to Etton's camp as well, alongside any steeds. See the Etton's camp section of this adventure. If the party is successful, once the party has slain and defeated all of the Shadow Cyclopeans, all of the black shadowy pools that the Shadow Cyclopeans melted into will flee south, westwards, towards Etton's camp. Investigating the carriages. If the party investigates the carriages that compose the blockade, they will have been stripped of all goods. There is nothing that indicates a connection between these carriages and the noble caravan. Return to Fioria. If the party chooses to return to Fioria after encountering the Shadow Cyclopeans, the Guildmaster will greet them expectantly, hoping they have news of the noble family or caravan. Once the party has disclosed the information about the Shadow Cyclopeans, the Guildmaster will tell the party of their concerns. Read or paraphrase the following. This dialogue assumes that the party did not complete the adventure Iron Mask in the East. Oh dear, this issue seems to have escalated in importance. There was another issue, one that occurred on the East Road, of similar nature. If this incident is truly involved, then I have another request for you. In addition to finding the nobles' caravan and rescuing the nobles, please destroy the monsters that captured them. From your description, the monster heading this operation is Shadow General Etton, and its involvement signs a dark plot that has been set into motion. Please, take these and find those beasts. You'll need these charms to defeat their leader, and once you have, you must make sure to bring its mask back to me for safekeeping. The Guildmaster will hand each party member the promised 150 gold pieces and 2 charm seals each. The Guildmaster will explain to the party how to use the charm seals, attaching them to the forehead of the weakened Shadow General Etton, and then reciting an incantation. If the party uses all of their charms and returns to the Guildmaster would be more than happy to give each party member another charm seal. Tracking the Shadows. If the party was successful in defeating the Shadow Cyclopeans, read or paraphrase the following. As you deliver the finishing blow to the last of the Shadow Cyclopeans, it melts into a puddle of shadows, like its companions before it. All of the recently slain Shadow Cyclopeans, now puddles of writhing liquid shadow, begin to slither southwest into the brush as if fleeing. The Shadow Cyclopeans move between the dense foliage at a speed of 100 feet around. It can move through obstacles, objects, and creatures, and is immune to all forms of damage. If the party loses the Shadow Cyclopeans, they can track them with a successful DC 16 Perception or Survival check, following a trail of shadowy ichor left behind in the brush. As the party follows or tracks the shadow cyclopeans, read or paraphrase the following. You follow the fleeing shadows southwest for several hundred feet until you come across a large clearing in the forest. The shadows glide into a large camp within the clearing, and beneath the flaps of a tent near the center, moments later, a huge two-headed giant emerges and calls for its shadow cyclopeans. Ettin's Camp. Ettin's Camp is a sizable camp located within a large clearing in a sylvan forest. The trees appear to have only been cut down within the last few weeks, judging by the freshness of the stumps. A dozen large tents have been erected within this clearing, each housing different denizens. When the party first enters the area, read or paraphrase the following. You peer out into this large clearing, noticing a dozen large tents scattered between dozens of freshly cut tree stumps. This large two-headed giant, who has emerged from the largest tent in the center of the camp, stands before the entrances and lets out a loud roar of a call. Moments later, over a dozen shadow cyclopeans emerge from their tents and gather before their leader. It speaks out to them. "Listen up, scum! Your brothers have returned from the crossroads. Nothing more than puddles. You lads, take a walk and bring these fools to me for talking." The gathered shadow cyclopeans nod in acceptance of their orders, lower their hoods, and turn to exit the camp from the northeast. As Shadow General Ettin lets out its loud call, the following number of shadow cyclopeans emerge from the following tents to gather around. 2 each from T1, T2, T3, T5, T6, and T8, and 1 each from T4 and T7. The Shadow Cyclopeans will take 1d4 rounds to deliberate Shadow General Ettin's orders, lower their hoods, and begin their travels. And this time, give the party an opportunity to recognize that the Shadow Cyclopeans will be exiting through the Shadow Cyclopean Exit Here area. A creature within 15 feet of this area must succeed on a DC 15 stealth check or be noticed by the Shadow Cyclopeans. A creature noticed by the Shadow Cyclopeans will be attacked and taken to Shadow General Ettin, if defeated. See Ettin's offer. The Shadow Cyclopeans will exit across the Shadow Cyclopean Exit Here area at a pace of 60 feet per round. It will take the Shadow Cyclopeans 1 minute to reach the crossroads. They will remain at the crossroads for 1 minute to thoroughly search it for the party, after which they will return to the camp, taking an additional minute for travel. During this 3-minute period, Shadow General Ettin will be alone in the camp. All-out war. If the party is spotted by the Shadow Cyclopeans or decides that a full frontal assault is the best course of action, they will become embroiled in a battle against numerous Shadow Cyclopeans and Shadow General Ettin simultaneously. This fight will be long, difficult, and dangerous due to the threat posed by Shadow General Ettin and the threats of fighting multiple enemies. If the party is defeated, go to the Ettin's offer section of this adventure. Carriage wreckage. Scattered across the western and northwestern corners of Ettin's camp are the remains of numerous carriages that have been stripped of their denizens and goods and broken apart into nothing more than firewood. A creature that takes a minute to search the carriage wreckage will notice the insignia of the Weddington family indicating the fate of their caravan. This adventure features another full-colored map. Investigating the camp. After the Shadow Cyclopeans have left the camp to search for the party at the crossroads, Shadow General Ettin will wait outside of its tent expectantly. During this time, the party can sneak around the camp to investigate the various spaces or engage in battle with Shadow General Ettin. Shadow General Ettin has a passive perception of 14 and will immediately engage in battle against the party if he spots them. A creature that searches the camp will find the following within each tent. T1, T2, T3, T5, T6, and T8. This large leather tent contains 2 empty straw bedrolls. Upon closer inspection, tortured faces can be found across the canvas of the tent, indicating it was sewn from the skins of humanoids. Nothing else of interest can be found within. T4, T7. This large leather tent contains 1 empty straw bedroll. Upon closer inspection, the tortured faces can be found across the canvas of the tent, indicating it was sewn from the skins of humanoids. Nothing else of interest can be found within. P1, P2, and P3. 1d6 plus 1 prisoners can be found within this tent, shackled to the ground with heavy chains. The prisoners appear to be unconscious and emaciated. Upon closer inspection, the tortured faces can be found across the canvas of the tent, indicating it was sewn from the skins of humanoids. Any of the shackles that restrain a prisoner can be picked with a successful DC 15 dexterity check. They each have an AC of 18 and 5 hit points and are immune to poison and psychic damage. If awoken and asked, the prisoners do not know where they are, nor how long they've been there. They have not been fed nor given water in several days. They do know that the Shadow Cyclopeans occasionally enter to either bring additional prisoners or remove them. Each prisoner may have a brief recollection of how their caravan was captured. One prisoner from each tent will be a carriage driver from the Weddington caravan. The carriage drivers of the Weddington caravan will be able to tell the party that the Weddington nobles have been taken to the larger tent in the center of camp. They haven't been seen for days. Etton's tent. Etton's tent is the largest tent within Etton's camp, centered within the camp. Inside, dozens of crates and barrels filled with stolen goods from various caravans can be found alongside the Weddington nobles. Lord Arcades and Lady Ariel Weddington can be found shackled within Etton's tent in a similar manner to the prisoners found within P1, P2, or P3. Unlike other prisoners, the Weddingtons appear to have been fed on occasion and are generally better cared for. If asked for the purpose of their additional care, the Weddingtons may tell the party that Shadow General Etton had hoped to assimilate them, offering them the gift of the Shadow Legion. Etton's offer. If the party has been knocked unconscious and captured by the Shadow Cyclopeans, read or paraphrase the following. You awaken, shackled and prone between a large canvas tent and the huge two-headed Shadow General Etton. You reach for your gear and notice it has been stripped from your person. The giant leans down to you and says, "Oi! You the ones that bent me servants? Now, that just won't do. Tell you what, though. You join me legion, and all will be forgiven. If yez don't, well, we'll just put you with the rest." The party will awaken shackled before Etton's tent in Shadow General Etton, where Etton will offer the party the gift of the Shadow Legion. If the party decides to willingly accept Shadow General Etton's offer, they will become a Shadow Cyclopean. See the Shadow Cyclopean creature template, and this adventure will come to a conclusion. If the party declines Shadow General Etton's offer, they will be separated and shackled to the ground with the rest of the prisoners. Escaping the tent. The party is put on a short timetable and must escape the camp without being noticed before the next nightfall arrives. There are few options of escape available within this cell, so the party will need to get creative and if it finds itself in this situation. Failure to escape. If the party fails to escape from the cell before the next nightfall, 2 Shadow Cyclopeans will unshackle their chains and begin forcing the party into crates before sealing them. The crates will be lifted and hauled away from the camp, where they will drop onto what sounds like a wooden surface and left to the swaying of the waves beneath. The party will be loaded onto a ship and taken to a distant warehouse. Move on to the third adventure into this series. Fight in Etton's camp. Once combat has been initiated with Etton's camp, all creatures within the camp will be alerted and become engaged with the party. Should the party fight, see the tactics sections below. Shadow General Etton. Shadow General Etton is a hulking Cyclopean Etton that stomps around its camp. Each of its swings are capable of felling thick trees and shattering entire carriages. Its 2 one-eyed heads appear to converse and bicker with one another. At a distance, Shadow General Etton will project fiery rays from each of its Cyclopean eyes, or throw nearby stumps or crates. However, in melee combat, Etton can utilize its 2-hand axe to deal out a dervish of attacks, sporting up to 4 lighter attacks with its one-handers, or 2 heavier attacks with its two-hander, reducing Shadow General Etton to 0 hit points. Once Shadow General Etton has been reduced to 0 hit points, it will drop down to 1 knee, where its head will be low to the ground. A character with a charm seal would have an easy time attaching the seal to one of Etton's foreheads. If the party has not returned to Fioria. If the party is not returned to Fioria and they have not received the charm seals, they will not be able to defeat Shadow General Etton. Once the party has reduced Shadow General Etton to 0 hit points, the first time, read or paraphrase the following. Shadow General Etton lets out a deep, throaty laugh that sounds like water burbling across the shore before standing once again. "You fools! You ain't got a chance to defeat me. You ain't even got the charms needed to seal me away. Best get running, for I send me boys after you." Shadow General Etten will give the party an opportunity to flee, albeit while calling its Shadow Cyclopeans to return. Once the party has defeated or fled from the Shadow Cyclopeans, they can return to Fioria to inform the Guildmaster of their findings. If the party chooses not to flee, Shadow General Etten will stand up at the end of its next turn, after regaining hit points with its Shadow General ability, and attack the party again. If the party has returned to Fioria. If the party is returned to Fioria and inform the Guildmaster of the Shadow Cyclopeans or Shadow General Etten, or they acquire the Charm Seals ahead of time, they will have possession of the Charm Seals necessary to defeat Etten. Once a party member has reduced Shadow General Etten to 0 hit points, it can attempt to affix the Charm Seals to one of Etten's foreheads and seal it within. Sealing Shadow General Etten. Once the party has successfully reduced Shadow General Etten to 0 hit points, and Shadow General Etten has failed its saving throw against the Charm Seal, read or paraphrase the following. After it has taken a knee, you affix the Charm Seal to one of the foreheads of the brought low Shadow General Etten. It fights to resist the binding magics of the charm, but ultimately fails as white runes appear across its skin. Etten lets out a pained cry as its body compresses and contorts, being sucked inwards towards its face. After a loud, pained moment, the light of the runes dissipates, leaving behind a large tanned mask with the visage of Etten's cyclopean face and a heavy iron key. Any remaining Shadow Cyclopeans collapse to the ground, writhing in agony as the shadows that had once possessed their bodies are released, leaving behind the unconscious humanoids that had been possessed. Key to the Shackles. Once Shadow General Etten has been defeated, a heavy iron key will drop in the space that it was standing. This key can unlock all the shackles that bind the prisoners around Etten's camp. Finding the player's gear. If the party was captured by the Shadow Cyclopeans, stowed away safely in a crate within Etten's tent will be the character's gear. It appears as if the gear was carefully removed from the party and placed within this crate for later shipment. Shadow Cyclopeans. Below is a description of the Shadow Cyclopeans and how one can defeat them. Escaping a crate. A creature that has been sealed within a crate is immobilized. On its turn, as an action, a creature can attempt to escape from the crate with a successful DC 15 Strength Athletics check to break the lid free. Shadow Cyclopeans prefer ranged combat, utilizing their Cyclopean eyes to deal damage from a safe distance. However, if forced to, a Shadow Cyclopean will utilize melee weaponry. It is believed that Shadow Cyclopeans are only as effective in combat as the creature it possessed. If Shadow Etten has been defeated and sealed within its Titan Mask of Etten, the possession of the Shadow Cyclopean dissipates, leaving behind the humanoid that had once been possessed. Homecoming. Once the party has defeated Shadow General Etten, read or paraphrase the following. Your party takes an hour or so to free the prisoners from their shackles. Once the prisoners have been freed, you manage to locate a passing carriage along the Selvin Road. With another hour's work, you clear the blockade safely, load up the freed prisoners, and return as a large group to Fioria, where you are greeted with open arms. The Guildmaster approaches your party and congratulates you. Thank you so much, adventurers. You've done a great service to Fioria and the Weddingtons. You've returned the missing people to us and located our missing visitors. Here, please take this, your reward. You've earned a well-deserved dinner and rest, but once you're rested, come see me. I fear a dark storm has set in over Fioria. The party will be congratulated for a job well done, rewarded with the promised 750 gold each, and treated to a nice dinner and a comfortable stay within a local inn. If the party checks in on the Weddington nobles, they will be thanked profusely and promised a generous reward should they visit Weddington. The nobles intend to gift the party a small cottage on the outskirts of the village of Weddington Gate. The end. This adventure features 2 unique monster stat blocks and 2 new magic items. Trouble brews upon the West Road. A noble caravan was expected days ago from the West Road. Diplomats from a foreign nation. Their abduction and deaths could cause civil strife for the lands of Fioria. Discover the fate of their noble caravan and investigate the culprits. The heroes must uncover the fate of the traveling nobles or risk a political disaster within Fioria. A level 3 to 5 adventure for a party of 3 to 6 adventurers. An adventure for use with your favorite fantasy role-playing game. That was the February 2024 adventure, Whip Cracks in the West. Let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you like this adventure, you can find it and many more in our shop on our website at dimenoveladventures.com. While you're there, you should subscribe to our newsletter for weekly updates on our products and projects, and join our growing Discord community. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel to see more like this, and let the algorithm know that we're doing alright. But most importantly, remember to make your weeks adventurous. Have a good week.